urine sample.
You ever tried boofing? Member of Supreme Court Congress has. Hey, welcome back. Supreme Court Congress.
Supreme Court Congress. Yeah. It's a new part of American government.
Member of the Supreme Court Congress.
Yeah. I'm voting for you. Vote for me for the American Supreme Court Congress. I'll change everything.
Hey, welcome back to our Stupid Rex. It's up, Corbin.
I'm Vic.
You've also seen Instagram, Twitter for more juicy content. Thanks on Patreon.
Yeah.
Follow the Facebook account, subscribe to like, and motorboat your brothers.
Yeah. and even though it's a piece of crap, you shouldn't drink it. Buy Bud Light. Just to piss off Kid Rock.
No, still don't. Gross. It's absolutely.
It's just
piss water.
Micah drinks it. I'm so disappointed.
Well, he's a poor college kid.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not drinking PBRs. They're better and cheaper.
Anything light is like anything diet. It's crap. Sorry, y'all. But beer,
light-skinned, gross.
all of the big Bud Light, Coors, Budweiser.
No, it's actually Coors.
Blah.
Coors, that. Today we're doing a movie review, you little hellions. And we are doing a review of the 2011 film No One Killed Jessica.
Spoiler. Right in the title. So how'd she die?
No one killed her.
No one will ever know.
No one will ever know. Directed and written by a story and screenplay by Ray Kumar Gupta.
Yep.
I believe this is his second film.
Or is that Raj Kumar? I think it's Raj.
What did I say?
Ray.
Yep. And starring a few people. Rani Mukherjee and Vidya Balan are your main leads in this, and then it's obviously a whole bunch of other people, including a little cameo by
Abhishek.
Dosti of Dos.
Yeah.
Abhishek.
Nice to see him pop up there.
Who did not cast this. This was very early on in his career, I do believe.
I could tell.
Yeah, right. Anyways, but obviously this will be a 100% spoiler review. We saw it on Netflix.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen it, go see it there. Obviously, this has been highly requested. But Rick, your initial thoughts, please.
So it gets. Let me talk about the good things first. It gets high marks for its subject matter in 2011. Because that was. If you set Seven Kun Maaf aside, which was released that year, and that's Vishal Bhardwaj, and that's that you can't compare to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the year of Deborah, which is a great film, but it's typical fare for Bollywood.
Yeah.
Delhi Belly came out that year.
Yep.
Rockstar, The Dirty Picture. So for subject matter.
It has some of the vibes.
Yeah. And for example, you don't get a movie, for example, that would be compared to this like Pink for almost 10 years later. Pink came out in 2019. Badla came out after that. So there really wasn't anything like this kind of film in Hindi, at least that year.
Yeah, for sure.
And then add not just the subject matter and the true story, add to it, can you find a movie that's more empowering to and carried by leading ladies?
Yes. Yeah, that's great.
So that, for me, makes it worthy of looking beyond the...
A lot of flaws.
A lot of flaws. So ultimately, I can understand why people like the film and that it does serve a purpose. And I think it was probably pretty groundbreaking for the time, and it's an important story.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about artistry, there's a whole lot I have to say that is not congratulatory.
We're probably going to be pretty similar on this. This is one that I know we got recommended this a lot. Anytime you talk about Ronnie, this was first on the list. Actually, a lot of people were like, and I asked my little group that I often ask questions about stuff, or after I watch stuff to get their opinions. And I said, have any of you watched it since it came out?
Good question.
And I think
Indrani hasn't seen it since it came out.
Seen it since it came out.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of it is they're remembering it for the time, which is understandable, and that's great. It has not aged well, in terms of filmmaking.
Like Taken.
Yeah, I haven't seen Taken.
Yeah, when Taken came out, it was, for me, so good in its subject matter. I showed it to Ashley and Alexis, who were teenage girls at the time, because I wanted them to be aware of this reality, and it was a lot of fun. And it's the legendary, if I will find you and I will kill you.
Yeah.
Rewatched it with Indrani, and I thought, this didn't age well. It's, And not just for subject matter. It's just not artistically very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, that's not totally true, because I think a lot of it, I'm sure he's a real nice person, falls on the writer-director flaws. This is his second film, his first film with a bunch of stars in it. So he had one film a couple years earlier. I don't think it had a lot of big names, but then he got this film. And even though they weren't, Ronnie was a big name. Vidya was early in her career.
Very early.
Obviously. So I think this is the first time. But I think you could take everything in this film, take away the dubbing.
Oh, the dubbing was tremendously bad.
Putrid. And
So all Foley work was terrible.
give it to
Sorry, guys.
a more established director, and I think it could be good.
Oh, subject matter wise?
Yeah, subject matter is fine.
Oh my goodness, yes.
That was my favorite part, is the fact that I learned about this,
Yes.
because that style of film is so intriguing. It's just like, even obviously we didn't know anything about this case, but like if the OJ case,
Right.
everybody knows almost every single step of that entire thing. But that doesn't make the series that came out a couple years ago any less intriguing. Because
Exactly.
something happens, you're like, how could you let that?
Yeah.
How could, like, it's an intriguing concept,
Yep.
obviously, because you're like, how does the justice system let this? How do the people, like, it's so corrupt? That's an intriguing aspect.
Agree.
And so it's not a subject matter that's not interesting. I find it very interesting and sad, obviously.
I would encourage another creation.
Yeah.
Another telling of the story.
Yeah.
For sure.
With a much more established director, I think, and writer, because it was a lot of the dialogue that was really cringy and just not natural. Everything felt contrived in
Yes.
terms of like, all right, now stand up, say this,
Yes.
point this way.
Yes.
When she got shot in the front, but she turned this way and she fell like.
Yes.
I encourage you to watch it again just so you could see how it aged filmatically, if that's the word.
Even the staging of the climactic
Yeah.
moment between the two leading ladies when they have the face-off and she's demanding her to come to the vigil, and the sister doesn't want to.
Yeah.
It's just basically, let's stand in front of each other, whether you cross your arms, my arms will be down, and we'll just do an over-the-shoulder shot and an establishing shot.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's
as were a couple of continuity things that just were beyond the pale.
So
there was one where, in the same moment, Ronnie's sitting on the counter with her legs crossed, and then they go to another shot, and it's the other leg. And then when she's talking to her boss in the car, and she's trying to get him to convince him to continue with the story, when you're on his POV, the background is his brake lights on the wall, and it's bright red behind him. And then when it goes over his shoulder to her through the window, you see his reflection in the rear view, and it's a completely different lighting background. It's not even red. There's stuff like that a lot of people, granted, wouldn't notice that, but I do.
Yeah, the in the beginning parts, it was like the whole setup to when she actually got murdered. It was all the dialogue was terrible.
Yeah,
it was really hard to watch.
I understand the lady, the actual reporter, was a very potty-mouthed character, but it
felt contrived. to you.
It was just, we're gonna be so edgy, aren't we? Edgy. Look at how edgy we are. It just felt that way.
Like, even though, like, if a lot of this stuff actually happened, right? Which I'm believing a lot of the events,
sure.
things. Not obviously, you knew some things were obviously for cinematic value, and that's understandable, and that's totally fine, right? But like, even like stuff that like, it's like, okay, this clearly happened, but this feels fake in this film, right?
Yeah.
Not because it feels so far-fetched, just because I felt like it was like almost like the way they did it. I was like, it feels like you're making this up. I'm sure you're probably not. It just feels that way.
Exactly.
That falls on the filmmaking. That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
Like I said, I encourage you to watch it again, so you could see what we're talking about. Because I feel like a lot of people might not have watched this since they saw it when it came out.
I know Indrani was that way.
Which I'm sure when it came out, it was groundbreaking and also telling a story that
Was
important
very important and not common for
at the time.
Not common for Bollywood at all.
Obviously, and not that the two main leads were bad. These weren't obviously there. We've seen a lot from them, and these by no means their best performances
No.
at all. But once again, I think that falls on the directing and writing. But I don't want to harp too much on that. So I want to talk more about what I like, because there's more probably I didn't like than I liked in this film.
Me too. But I do what I would prefer. I prefer to accentuate the positive.
But just say a lot of it falls on the filmmaking and writing.
Yes.
Which are a lot of the flaws there. So that's the general consensus of the bad.
Yeah.
What I liked is a lot, because the story is crazy.
It's unbelievable.
The fact that they can get away with clearly
It's way crazier than OJ. Even though OJ is crazy, this is crazier.
Everybody knows these guys are paying these people off. Everyone.
Everybody knows it.
Just nothing you can do.
No.
Also, I don't know why it took 4 years. If he paid everybody off, why did it? You guys,
I know
let
it's
me know.
dragged out.
Why did it get dragged out 4 years? If it seemed like cut and dry that everybody was paid off and had a.
And
Right?
and the other thing, I guess we know nothing
I know
about
nothing
the
about
legal
this.
system.
Yeah.
So we obviously know what constitutes bribery
Yeah.
and payoffs. But one of the things that I guess you can do, I don't know, and I would need to know the legalities of this. Maybe it is similar, but we have something here where it's called double jeopardy. Once a case has been ended in favor of the one who's being prosecuted, that person, if they're acquitted, they can't be tried again for that. They can be tried in a criminal case. I mean, in a civil case. That's what happened to OJ.
Appeal,
Yeah, OJ was first. He was found innocent in the criminal case, but he was found guilty in the civil case and had to pay a big monetary damages. But he could stand in front of everyone right now and say, "Yeah, I did it," and nobody is going to be able to
Unless there's
try him again.
Unless there's new evidence.
New evidence.
New
New
can come
evidence.
out.
Right.
And obviously the legal.
And the way that evidence is acquired. So, for example, in this, when she does the hidden tape of him speaking Hindi, that a defense attorney would say, at least here, the defense attorney would say that is not admissible.
Well,
you tricked my client.
The reason I was like, okay, obviously here that. The reason I think it might have worked, and you guys could tell me how the legal system works.
Yeah, because we don't know.
Because I don't know. It's a different country. Was that she wasn't doing it in court. She was just taking. Obviously, here, if you did that, you'd be sued out the ass.
In a big way.
In a big way, and they could take all the money from your network.
Yes.
They could, there's so much they could do.
Yo, my
here.
goodness.
Yeah. So I don't know the legal system. But the reason I think there is they weren't trying to. She wasn't trying to present this for the court. She was just trying to get
as a news story.
a public opinion.
Right.
Him being brought to justice.
Which
in the public.
One of the most confounding things among the payoffs, as far as the story is concerned, when a guy gets on the stand and says, "I don't speak Hindi," how did the attorneys questioning him, who were in support of prosecuting him, how did that prosecuting attorney not have evidence that this guy speaks Hindi?
Yeah. Ask anybody. That he's interacted with family-wise.
That's so much different than OJ trying to put the glove on, and clearly he's spreading his fingers. And
does his parents speak Hindi? Does
Right.
his siblings speak Hindi?
Right.
Do friends and associates, have they heard him speak Hindi? But also I don't want to harp on it again, but the court case was awful. The court scene.
It was very, very
It was
bad.
very hard to watch. It was just
Agreed.
what the director was asking all these actors to do, and the ways it was terrible.
Yeah.
I did not like it at all.
I'm with you. I am with you
Once
wholeheartedly.
again, I don't want to harp on that again.
No.
I've said my piece on that, but that was terrible. But yeah, it's.
But thankfully,
I don't know. What's the
justice apparently was served.
Yes.
Thankfully,
and hopefully, they alluded to it at the end with Abdul. That maybe they've reformed their justice system a little
Right,
bit.
I think so.
Hopefully, in some good ways. They blamed a lot of it on the British carryover, in the film at least. So you guys could tell us, because they didn't really specify what changed,
Right.
if anything. Maybe
Right.
it didn't. You guys can let us know. But that was the most interesting part of this film for me.
Me too.
Was
and the best part.
figuring out about this case. Because that is an intriguing aspect. Like I said, you could remake this now, and I think it would still be even more intriguing.
I think it could be an incredible. The story is important to
You
tell.
could have Hansel Mehta
Yeah.
direct this film. He's done it, brilliant films with Raj Kumar and others of this style of film, and he does it so well.
It would be tight. It would be wonderful. It would piss you off.
Yeah.
There'd be tragedy that breaks your heart. This movie has great potential.
And there were times that it did settle down some.
Yeah.
But then it would always come back.
Rear its ugly head.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot of the inexperience of the director writer. But Ronnie did fine. Vidya did fine. These are probably lower on the scale of the performances I've ever seen of them.
They did fine with a couple of moments of me being surprised that they weren't as good as they usually are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, falls on the writing, directing. Abhishek, the two scenes he did,
Yeah.
I thought he
He did a great job. Had very little to say. Just did a good job showing up.
did a great job.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy though. Like I would love to know the actual story of really this guy just needed drinks and he pulled out a gun and shot him.
Yeah, I did some reading on the actual murder case.
Yeah. Is that what happened?
They did that exactly according to the reports.
Really?
That there was a party that was going on. She was bartending. The cutoff for all drinks at the party was midnight, and he comes strolling in at 12:30 and said, "I want a drink." And they're like, "We've closed the bar. We're closing up shop." And he offered to give them $1,000, and they said, "The place is closed." So to intimidate them, he pulled the gun out, shot it into the ceiling, and she, being apparently a pretty ballsy woman, said, "Fuck off.
Yeah.
We don't have anything."
Yeah.
And that he did. He killed her. I do think he didn't intend to kill her.
Okay.
I do think he intended to scare her and shoot it right by her ear. But because you shouldn't do something like that. That's stupid. He hit her in the head. But there were at least 6 or 7 people who saw it occur.
Granted,
in that way.
They paid them all off.
And they paid them all off. And then the other
crazy.
people at the party were just too scared to be, and probably were threatened about what their testimony would be.
Like I said, intriguing.
So yeah, very, very
intriguing,
true.
sad, true story.
As is apparently the death of the mom.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that the sister had to go through.
Yeah.
Again, I think if this was reshaped, I can't stress enough the credit it deserves and why I know people would like it. It's probably, and we don't know the fullness of the groundbreaking nature of a Bollywood film in 2011, covering the subject matter and doing it from the vantage point of 2 women leading the story, strong women, potty mouthed Ronnie.
I'm a bitch.
And I would love to, there's so many people we could talk about that would tell this story and should tell this story. So it gets great kudos for having been made.
Yeah, for sure.
And but it does. Like Corbin said, if you haven't seen it in a long time, rewatch and see if you have a different opinion just about the artistry, not the story.
Yeah, not the story.
Not the story at all. And it did get better, though I'm accustomed to the pulling on the heartstrings thing. I felt like they didn't go as far as they could.
Yeah.
And kind of pulled back a little bit on the end sequence.
Yeah.
The vigil. I don't know that they met at the gravesite, but that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like so many films can, where it just becomes so maudlin and over the top, and all we're looking for is the emotional feels. I felt like they did a good job holding back at the end.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't all awful, but there was just so much. I hated the guy who kills him, the mother. That just keeps coming in.
Oh, shoot.
Do whatever you can, my son.
Yeah.
Even if it
Also-
happened, it was just
Also,
awfully filmed.
we can just chalk up another piece of support for the evidence that the majority of white actors, Mark Bennington and the 2 white actors in Farsi, excluded from that equation. That guy in the courthouse, he's the man, you were the man. I can't even pretend to be as bad as he was in that scene.
Oh, God, he was awful.
And if you're watching, I am so sorry, sir, but you were dreadful.
And even the girl that was while they were filming the other bartender.
Oh, brother.
She was terrible too.
There was a lot of ouch
Yeah.
in moments.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways,
but-
that I'm glad we finally got to it, because obviously it's been on the list forever. Probably very early on in the channel, I think we reacted to the trailer. Very early on in the channel.
I don't even
No, it was
I don't
probably
even
it was
remember.
probably the first 4 months
Yeah.
of the channel. We saw the trailer for this, and anytime Ronnie's mentioned, we were always told to watch No One Killed Jessica.
Yeah.
Once again, I would encourage you to watch it again. let us know what your new thoughts are after rewatching it in terms of the filmmaking.
Yeah,
aspect of it. Not in terms of story.
there's the artistry.
Very intriguing story, and I understand that. But let us know what the next Vidya and Ronnie film should be. Obviously, we love them. We'll watch everything they do.
And thankfully, they kept the runtime lean.
Yeah, it's an hour 12.
If this thing had been 250,
ooh, yeah. That would have been rough.
yeah. But yeah,
but
what are their-
it could even be under 2 hours. I think.
This could be a
It could
95
even
minute.
tighter
You bet.
film. Let us know what their next film should be down below.